Good morning. It's 8 a.m. in New Delhi. I'm Satya
And I'm Charu and you are watching WION Breakfast. But before moving forward with the show, here are the heads up this morning.
French non-profit organizes reading circles for prison inmates.
Chefs in Hong Kong revive the tradition of homemade dim sums.
Syrian actors enact the journey of Syrian refugees on love boats.
And women's sumo wrestlers take on the Japan's big boys.
Nidhi Mohan Kamal shares her fitness mantra for home workouts in WION Stretch. Charu, it's a lovely day today. It's the start of the week and it's the Christmas week with joy and festivities in the air. We have to start with the good thought of the day.
Oh yes, absolutely. Well, my good thought for the day was over the weekend. We took out our Christmas tree, dusted it and put it out and put out all the Christmas decorations. And my son, who is 1.5, found the whole process fascinating. He was just like, what are these? And he was calling them bubbles. So there were colorful bubbles for him on a tree, and he just found the whole thing fascinating.
Must have been total joy for him.
Oh yeah.
Well, my moment of joy was when I met a friend yesterday. He's a photographer. His name is Hari Nair. He is a very celebrated photographer. He's been photographing celebrities all over. Yesterday I met him after a very long time and asked him how life has been. He's like, yes, you know, general life has been happening to me. I've been photographing and some things were not so nice. But then you know what? I'm not worried about all the disappointments. I'm just focused on making the best picture of my life.
Wow. Wow. Perspective, huh?
Totally.
Perspective.
Totally.
I like that.
And that just filled me up with, you know, inspiration and just the dedication and determination to do something really cool in life.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, Satya, getting back to the festive season, you know, one of the most vivid memories of Christmas that I have was the Christmas that we spent in Pune, in a small town just on the outskirts of Pune. And there was a small boy in the neighboring flat where I was staying with my friends. And this small boy had a huge tulsi tree in his garden. And
the holy basil.
He had the holy basil. And he had, you know, he had the concept of Christmas and in his mind. And so he decorated that holy basil tree as a Christmas tree. And it was one of the best examples of intermingling of cultures that I have ever come across.
How lovely.
Yes, absolutely. As it is in the world today, well, taking you across to Nepal, a former Buddhist kingdom of Upper Mustang in Nepal was closed to visitors until 1992.
Flash forward 24 years and now this Shangri-La is well connected with a network of highways. The connectivity has brought modernity to the roof of the world. Take a look.
Rush hour in a Himalayan Shangri-La. For hundreds of years, the former Buddhist kingdom of Upper Mustang in northern Nepal was closed to visitors. But change is on the way as a new highway connects the region with India and China.
Now that the road has come here, local people are very happy because we're able to get supplies cheaply, easily and quickly. Earlier, everything had to be brought on mules or by porters. It was very difficult.
Nepal's government barred foreigners from here until 1992 and now charges a hefty entrance fee in a bid to keep visitor numbers down and protect the area's unique culture. Today, many fear the road will do what tourism couldn't and replace traditional clothing and hand-stitched Tibetan boots with imported jeans and sneakers.
It's important to save our culture so it reflects our identity. Otherwise, there will be nothing special left about Upper Mustang.
The new generation is eager to embrace modern life, meaning that the former kingdom's days as a cultural time capsule, where yak caravans and kerosene lamps were once common sights, are now numbered.
When we talk about our culture, many changes have happened. A lot has changed for young people. They want to be modern. Their way of thinking is very different.
A medieval way of life preserved for centuries at a cost that younger generations are no longer willing to pay.
What a lovely story over there, Charu. So, this is a story of inclusion. A story of inclusion where even remote areas are coming back onto the global highway map. And what better than to take everybody along with us in the true spirit of the world is one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The world is one. It's a shrinking global village, as a very wise man said. And moving on to Pakistan now, where pigeons are celebrated athletes here, where pigeon races are popular among masses.
That's right. They race across the Islamabad skies over the watchful eyes of their owners. Take a look.
Unlike their feral counterparts, these pigeons are cherished athletes. Today, they're racing above Pakistan's capital city, Islamabad. Below, they're watchful owners. It's a passion shared by millions countrywide.
I've been keeping pigeons since I was a child. I'm fond of them because I enjoy it when I beat my competitors and win competitions. It gives me joy, and it also brings me fame.
Flying pigeon breeds were introduced to neighboring India by the Mughals, the Muslim dynasty that used to rule the subcontinent. When Pakistan was formed in 1947, people brought their pigeons and a hobby was born. Soon, competitions started, at first just for fun.
Slowly and afterwards, people came who invested money, who started gambling. And now it is at the height.
The rules are simple. At dawn, each team of 7 or 11 pigeons takes off. When they return at nightfall, the flight time of each pigeon is calculated, and the winning team is the one with the longest average time.
I have to stamp the pigeons to avoid any mix-up between them. Today is the final flight of this competition, so we have stamped the pigeons so they can't be changed.
A good pigeon can cost hundreds of dollars, equivalent to several months of pay for many here. Trainers are often illiterate, while the owners are frequently from the middle classes, making the birds a unifying pastime for Pakistanis of different social backgrounds.
Racing pigeons. Charu, if we were living in the old times, that's how I think I'd love to communicate with you.
Yeah.
I'd probably send a pigeon racing across with a small piece of note. Charu, tomorrow we're going to have these set of stories.
That would actually be quite romantic, Satya.
Isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it would be very, very sweet. And you know what? I think there are certain things in the past that really must be preserved. In sports as it is in food. I mean, there are so many lost recipes these days that
That's
we
right.
really need to protect.
Grandmother's recipes.
Grandmother's recipes and homemade, just handmade recipes, as they're doing in Hong Kong these days, where a group of chefs is getting together to preserve the original recipe of the handmade Hong Kong dim sum. And in this mad world where factory dim sums are all the rage, these chefs are very much striving against the wave. Take a look at this.
In this Hong Kong restaurant, every dumpling or bun is freshly handmade. Served in bamboo baskets, the delicacy, known as dim sum, varies from parcels of meat or seafood to deep-fried spring rolls or sweet treats. It's a Cantonese classic. Demand is high, and more restaurants are turning to factory-produced dim sum. But for chefs like Cui Kwa Hing, quality is the key.
We work so hard and persist in doing it by hand. The handmade dim sum is fresh. and makes people want to eat from the look and moisture.
Meanwhile, across town, tourists flock to this high-end establishment. It takes time to perfect the dim sum technique, and some say the long hours required are a turn-off for the next generation.
Many young people have gone to hotels, Western restaurants, and sushi restaurants for jobs, and there are fewer people working for the Chinese ones.
In a bid to keep the traditions alive, making dim sum is a mandatory course at this Chinese cookery school.
My family doesn't support me working in this field because the working hours are very long and the working environment is quite hard. But I'm interested in it, and I believe I can persist in doing it to become a very good dim sum chef.
There is no danger of these dumplings disappearing from the Hong Kong food scene anytime soon, but a big challenge remains for those intent on preserving this handmade tradition.
Well, some lost recipes certainly are worth preserving. In fact, there are so many homemade remedies, Satya, that used to be made in the kitchen. You know, if we had a cold, my grandmother would make a quick paste, a very liquidy paste with gram flour and jaggery, with a few holy basil leaves thrown in. And that used to just clear out the systems like
magic.
Yeah, it was like magic.
That's wonderful, Charu, and that again goes on to describe how important it is for us to preserve our old recipes, our old past, our old heritage.
Absolutely.
And we do not want to become a prisoner of the modern times.
No, no, no.
On that note, we will bring you a lot more stories how we can break out of the shackles of our current day times, where we become prisoners of our own thoughts, of our own actions and of our own times. And we will come back, but before that we slip into a very short break and come back after the break on WION Breakfast.
Welcome back. You're watching WION Breakfast with me, Charu Shankar, and Satya Srigandham. And it's time now to take you around the world for more interesting and motivating stories.
Charu, we were talking about how we should not be becoming prisoners of war. We should not be war inside our systems, war outside, because there's so much of violence outside. Now, there are indeed some prisoners in Mexico who are embracing tattoo art using homemade equipment.
That's right. Under a rehabilitation project called Prison Art, inmates are getting a chance to earn by selling their tattooing skills. High-end stores are paying them about $400 to draw designs. What a great way to incorporate art therapy into prisons. Here's a report.
In this Mexican jail, prison tattoos aren't only for inmates. They also decorate luxury bags. Prisoners here can take part in a rehabilitation project called Prison Art, which pays them to draw designs on purses sold at high-end stores across the country. Convicted murderer David Guzman was so eager to use his artistic abilities, he fought to bring the program to this prison north of the capital.
We're already serving a sentence, so that's that. However, we're not going to stop breathing, eating or living. We're not going to stop existing. So if we don't stop existing, we can totally do this.
Every week, the program's director, Jorge Cueto, oversees the work of his artists. He pays them for each piece produced, whether or not the resulting handbags end up on the shelves of a store like this one in the wealthy Polanco neighborhood in Mexico City. The handmade purses sell for $400 a piece.
It's also a way to give society the choice to help without necessarily making a donation. They can come and buy something. The idea is to work with a product of such good quality, such taste, that people desire it.
Cueto came up with this idea 2 years ago while he was himself detained for fraud before being found innocent. The rules are clear. Inmates taking part in the program cannot do drugs. They have to go to therapy and give half of their income to their family. Salaries can reach up to $400 monthly, more than any other prison job would pay them.
Here, we need to find work, money, a way to pay our debt and live.
Cueto now plans to go international and ship the purses to the US and Europe, with each handmade piece signed by the inmate who inked it.
Charu, this story reminds me of a movie I saw some time back, a long time ago. It's called Escape from Alcatraz. You know, it's a movie where the protagonist is trying to break away from jail in a prison in Alcatraz, and an inmate loved his time, who spent it drawing, portraits of himself.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's lovely. Well, one day his officer does find the portraits. I've seen this movie, and takes away his painting supplies, and which leaves this inmate absolutely distraught. Art definitely is a way to express oneself, and it becomes even more important when someone's freedom is curtailed for whatever reason. But in a similar effort to rehabilitate, a French non-profit is organizing reading circles to promote good reading habits among prisoners. Have a look at this report.
Author Olivia Resentera is presenting her latest work. But this reading circle isn't in a bookstore or on a college campus. It's in a prison rec room.
The way an author speaks to her readers is unique. It only happens through books.
The French non-profit Read Your Way Out organized this event and gave these women copies of Resentera's Le Garçon a week ago. Their mission is to get more prisoners across France reading books.
In a way, books force you to think about yourself, to think about others, and to think about your environment.
The program came to French prisons 18 months ago. Wherever it's available, it's hugely popular, with 10 times the participation rate of other activities.
I really like this book. I've never read a book with so many pages so quickly.
By responding in writing to books they've read, prisoners can shave time off their sentences. But prison guards like this one say that's far from being the program's biggest benefit.
Just look at the bars on the windows. It's a way to escape virtually, with words anyway. I can't say I've observed them taking fewer meds, far from it. But I have seen a calming effect. The calming effect on the prisoners who signed up for this program is undeniable.
Before leaving, one inmate gets her copy of Le Garçon signed by the author. For her, reading it was more than a way to pass the time.
The mother in the book is exactly the same age as my own mother. And so, I'm a little emotional. Because actually, prison keeps us from seeing our parents age. And we don't see our children grow up. But we don't see our parents grow old either.
Within the next 4 years, Read Your Way Out hopes to reach 50 prisons across the country and put books in the hands of some 10,000 prisoners.
Wow, what a heartening story there, and so very sad. But Satya, I can't think of a better way in which prisoners could really, rehabilitation efforts for prisoners can really be successful by doing these things with their time while they're doing time.
That's right, Charu. I can't agree more. And I'd also like to point out that it's just not people in prisons. You know, sometimes we're prisoners of our own circumstances, and there are some really severe circumstances like that of refugees, for instance.
That's right.
Yeah. So 6 Syrian actors are telling the tale of Syrian refugees who fled Syria in small boats.
That's right. These actors are performing the tragic comic tales of bloodshed that ravaged their motherland. Their production is called Love Boat, which is taking their message to the world. Take a look at this.
6 Syrians huddled together on a small vessel headed for Europe. It's a very familiar scene, but this time acted out by performers. With their theatre company back home decimated by bloodshed, these Syrian actors have reunited in the Jordanian capital. Their one-act tragicomedy is called Love Boat. Texts are chosen to mirror life in conflict-plagued Syria, as well as the taboos of Arab society.
The three taboos of Arab society and governments as a whole are religion, sex and politics. And with this play, we try to break these taboos.
Among the female cast, 15-year-old Iman al-Shayab, who was hit by shrapnel in Syria's southern province of Daraa and had a leg amputated. She now lives in this center in Amman. In between rehabilitation exercises and rehearsals for the play, she pursues another one of her passions, painting.
The dancer in my painting doesn't feel disabled. She wants to study and stand up despite her injuries. Nothing in life can stop her.
Syria's 5-year conflict has killed more than 270,000 people, maimed many others, and forced millions to flee their homes, often on precarious trips across the Mediterranean. Most of the actors in Love Boat were either injured, jailed for taking part in anti-regime protests, or trapped in besieged camps. 25-year-old Haya spent 227 days in jails run by the Syrian regime, where she says she was raped daily.
Taking part in this play is wonderful, but it's also difficult because we have to give a sense of Syrian women's suffering.
In the play, the actors set off to Greece, then various European countries, hoping one of them will take them in. The journey ends with a tragedy, Shakespeare's King Lear, as a raging storm sinks the boat, dragging to the depth of the ocean yet more victims of the Syrian conflict.
Wow, that's a brave group of Syrian refugees that have taken on the cause of telling the world about the plight of what's happening in Syria, and through such a beautiful medium. I mean, art really is the therapy for humanity.
Well said, Charu. Art is the savior. Art is the therapy. On that very soothing tone and note, we slip into a very quick break. But you stay tuned to WION Breakfast because we come back from the break with lots more stories.
Welcome back. You're watching WION Breakfast, and it's time now to take a look at what's making the headlines this morning.
Superseding 2 senior officers, Lieutenant General Bipin Rawat named the new Army Chief of India. General Rawat to take over as the 26th Chief after General Dalbir Singh retirement on 31st of December.
The Election Commission of India seeks a ban on anonymous contributions made to political parties to check the flow of black money.
In Nepal, a constitution amendment bill to meet the demands of the protesting Madhesi community will be tabled today in the parliament.
Rebels burned several buses en route to evacuate the sick and the injured from Syria's Idlib province. 350 people managed to leave despite postponed evacuations.
After becoming Prime Minister, Saad Hariri gets a new 30-minister government in Lebanon.
And after a gap of 15 long years, India defeats Belgium in Junior Hockey World Cup 2016 final, clinches second ever title.
So those were the headlines today. And now let's see what the newspapers are reporting today while Charu and I read between the lines. Charu, I'm looking at the Indian Express, and it's a wonderful story of preparedness that I found today. Okay. Remember the 2015 floods in Chennai?
Of course.
Devastating, huh? So this is on page 13 of the Indian Express, an article by Arun Janardhan. He tells us how Chennai took on Varda. Varda is a cyclone that has been...
That's right, just very recently.
That's correct. So, armed with lessons from the 2015 floods, the city and the government were ready, from a new software with checklists to a nimble and focused response.
Wow, that is good news indeed.
That is totally good news and very, very heartening and enlightening. This time, Chennai and the northern districts hit by the cyclone appear to be climbing back to their feet much faster. Not quite there yet, but nearly so. The big shift, say officials, was thanks to the lessons learned from 2015. For instance, as soon as the first warning came in this December, key departments activated a software prepared after last year's floods and containing a checklist of emergency measures. And the government, hobbled by a lack of transparency and clogged communication channels, last year was much more nimble, with ministers and top officials actively directing relief work and activating a series of preset emergency measures.
Wow.
You know, in a situation like this, sometimes just bureaucracy could be a roadblocker.
That's true.
But this time, even the officials were immediately deployed, and they deployed maximum force within the projected radius, issued public warnings, declared holidays for schools and colleges, and sent a separate circular to private firms to shut or allow people to work from homes.
Brilliant. Yeah. Now that's what I call progress.
Exactly.
That's what I call progress. Learning your lessons and making sure that history does not repeat itself, not when it comes to cyclones at
That's
least.
right. And how difficult is it? I mean, this is nature's fury. In any kind of a flood situation, any kind of an emergency situation, when the government is making that concerted effort, I think people, all people involved can also bring their best foot forward and try their bit.
That's how you work. That's how you make the country progress.
Absolutely. This time, the government official said Education Minister M.F. Pandirajan had the absolute authority to take decision on declaring holidays for the educational institutions. And this was because, you know, the idea is to be quick on the feet.
Yes.
The idea is to not think about, okay, when does the force come in? When does the government act? Which minister has what role to do? So that was one major problem last time. It was the city had come to a standstill.
Right.
It was against nature's fury. The city had come to a standstill. We just had to learn our lessons, and I'm glad we did. And this is certainly a great news of the day.
Well, that's fantastic. But I have another very, very interesting news. This is from the DNA, and it says here, man from Sundarbans cycling for HIV awareness, now headed for Antarctica. Meet Soman Debnath, it says here, who set off from his village in the Sundarbans on a cycle to raise awareness on HIV and AIDS in 2004 and has been traveling the world since. He's 33 years old now. He took off as a 20-year-old boy 12 years ago. And what is it that actually set him off? Well, he read an article about how AIDS was even more dangerous than cancer these days. And he asked his teachers about it, and they had no answers. And this set him off on a path to know more about the disease and to raise awareness.
Oh my God.
Yes, and he's been on a cycle to 126 countries.
A young boy?
A young boy. A typical day on the road for Debnath starts at 8 a.m. and involves around 10 hours of cycling, during which he covers 100 to 150 kilometers, and along the way he stops at educational institutes to talk to the youth about safe sex and HIV and AIDS. And a team helps him arrange these meetings.
This is wonderful.
It's incredible.
It's inspiring, it's enlightening, and just to spread awareness, this little boy is so determined to just completely get the entire world to know about the downside of.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. He's in Argentina right now as we speak. As the show goes on air, he's in Argentina, and he is ready to start his South American tour and then onwards to Antarctica. And various organizational heads have been coming in and giving him the funds that are required to help him on his journey.
That's called riding for a cause.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I have another article, Satya, that I do want to talk to you about. This is from the Mint, and it is, of course, our favorite journalist, Pramit Bhattacharya, who talks about India and its burden of social obligations.
Tell me this is all about statistics.
This is all about statistics and this is mind-boggling statistics about how Indians think, right? It says more than a quarter of Indian households are indebted, and they borrow from informal sources rather than banks or financial institutions, and they borrow for social obligations such as arranging for wedding feasts and other family functions, and this is what's putting a heavy debt burden on Indian households
Oh
these
my
days.
God.
And the statistics that are mentioned over here are just crazy and mind-boggling. It turns out that even in the poorest of the poor strata, this is where a majority of their debt actually comes from trying to appear bigger than what they actually are, and for social obligations.
It takes me back to one of the conversations we had on the breakfast show about how Indians, perhaps even people all over the world, they spend all their life's earnings, all their hard money, and just blow it off on a wedding.
Yeah, one party and
one
poof,
party.
finished. Wiped clean.
And then again back into the debt cycle.
Yes, it's so sad. But I have one more article from the DNA which I do have to tell you about. It's so cute. It says rats smile with their ears, find scientists.
Well, the sound of it is very cute.
It's so sweet.
Rats
show happiness by lowering their ears, according to scientists who found that tickling the animals made their ears more droopy and pink. Droopy and pink. So they attributed the lowered ears of the rats to being in a more relaxed state. Which, okay, I can understand. That's fine. You're like, I'm feeling happy. So their ears drooped down. But they were not clear on the reason for the pink ears. So, of course, there's been a lot of scientific debate about, like, why are their ears turning pink when they're happy? And the final consensus is that it could be a sign of happiness or simply an increase in blood flow due to a small degree of physical exertion that went along with laughing while being tickled.
Much as I may not be very happy with rats, but that is very, very cute.
So the next time you see a rat and you're like feeling scared of it or whatever, try
pink
making
ears?
the right rat happy? By tickling
the ears
and see the ears droop down, and you're like, you're fine, I'm safe now.
Okay then, I don't know how many of us can do that, but then I think that's a great idea. Instead of looking, rats all around, tickle their ears.
Tickle their
Just
ears.
like that.
Tickle their ears, make them happy.
Well then, on that note of happiness, I have one article which I'd like to talk about. It's called Melting Pot of Cultures. Yes, it's an article in the Indian Express again. Serendipity Arts Festival.
Nice.
Serendipity Arts Festival.
I have been hearing so much about the Serendipity Arts Festival.
That's right, and it's in Goa. It sets out with a broad mandate to impact the way Indians interact with art on a daily basis. The first edition in Goa is an experiment in that direction.
Wow.
So this is on till 23rd of December. So we've got to head over across to Goa. Anywhere half the world is in Goa.
Oh yeah.
Have to attend this this festival. A new festival is challenging the traditional definition of art. December 16th was the inaugural day, and it included not only classical music and dance concerts, but also an exhibition of Goan costumes by designer Wendell Rodrigues. The Wendell Rodrigues of India.
Yes, of course.
And a workshop on Feni, the drink of choice in the state. You know, Goa anyway has its own miracles to offer, has its own wonderful weather to offer and greenery, and on top of that, perfect environment for a festival which brings together all kinds of cultures.
Absolutely. Well, that was us reading between the lines, and you now know how to make rats happy. You now know where to go if you want to make yourself happy.
There you go.
Head down to Goa and attend this wonderful arts festival. But that's all we have time for as of now for Between the Lines. But do stay with us on WION Breakfast, because we're coming back with some fitness tips.
Welcome back. You're with us on WION Breakfast, and here we are with Charu's favorite segment, that's WION Stretch.
That's right. We bring you a workout session where Nidhi Mohan Kamal will be showcasing her fitness mantra that will help you keep fit with just a few easy moves. Take a look.
Hi, I'm Mohan Kamal. I'm a nutrition, health and fitness expert based out of South Delhi, and today I'll be sharing with you some things you can do easily at the comfort of your home and even your office space to get started on your fitness journey. So we'll start with warming up the leg and the hip muscles a little bit. So all you need to do for this one is take light support of a wall. All you need to do is bring your leg up and back, making sure you're squeezing the glute muscles as you're doing it. On count of 20, we'll go up and down, right? Switch sides and see the other side. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The higher you go, the more nice your warm-up will be. The first exercise we'll be doing is a basic squat. So for a squat, what you need to do is you have to pretend that you're going to sit down. So I'm going to sit down on bending my knees forward and bringing my chest in the front. What I need to do and what I need to be careful about is keeping my back straight all this time and not make sure that my knees never come over my toes. So if you're doing this, you're actually doing it wrong. And if you already have knee problems, we can go up to 90 degrees and that's about it. So we can do 10 of these. So we start 1, 2, 3, 4. The second exercise we'll be doing is a basic lunge. For a lunge, what you need to do is take a step forward, making sure that maximum amount of weight is on the front leg. You have to go down as far as you can and come up. We have to do 10 rounds of each and on both the sides. Switching sides. Now I can go all the way down. Maybe it's possible that you can go only halfway and it's completely okay. Just make sure that your glutes, hams and quads are engaged at all times. So now that we're done with the workout, we need to get on the mat and cool down a little and stretch a little.
Now, let's talk about something a little more relaxed, right? If you were to think about some really stupid superpower.
I don't know, but let's see what Twitter has to say about stupid superpowers. I'm old enough to know it better, but young enough to do it again. There we go. Another stupid superpower that I have, Satya.
I think I have that too. We share some superpowers, you know.
We do. Twin soul super sisters.
My stupid superpower is to be a grammar Nazi while making some extremely stupid mistakes myself. Oh my God, I cannot tell you how much of a superpower of that I have in me.
The ability to sit with your book for hours and not study a thing. Yeah, this was my stupid superpower in class 12.
Not bathing for 1 week continuously and not letting others know about it. May not be mine, but I know of some people, Charu, who have that superpower.
Unfortunately, we know these people.
I know, right?
Tweeting to a celeb who has millions of followers and expecting a reply. Hey, you know, you just keep at it. That celeb is going to get back to you one day. They love their fans.
I know, they totally love their fans.
They totally love their fans.
Stupid superpower, to be able to fall in love again after every time being dumped. Now this, I think, applies to all of us. No one can say that superpower does not exist in that person.
Laughing at a joke when everyone else has stopped. Oh dear, that's me.
That's me too, Charu. My God, there's a time for confession, I think.
Oh my God, this is fast becoming a confession show. Stupid superpower, keep hoping that things will turn out the way I want even when I can see they aren't.
I know.
The power of wishful thinking, the secret of
the subconscious.
Visualizing and making things manifest in the universe.
Spending hours on internet without anything to search. Oh my God, no. But I know some people. I know a lot of such people with those superpowers.
Stupid superpower. Snooze alarm 10 times with closed eyes, even when in deep sleep.
For instance, today. And that's me.
Every morning.
Every morning.
Making unfathomable typos. Okay, I just blame autocorrect. Simple. I always just blame autocorrect. I was like, it wasn't me, it was autocorrect. That's my stupid superpower. Another one.
That's almost always the case. My superpower is to keep on looking for something in the fridge even when I know there's nothing.
That's called
Charu.
hope.
I know. Sometimes it's not superpower, sometimes it's just living in hope. Living in hope of something to happen, even if you know it may not happen. Well then, I still hope it happens.
That's true. Well, taking you now across to a fashion story from Ethiopia, where an Ethiopian-born business graduate has left the US to return home.
A young woman has launched a luxury leather handbag brand. Although the majority of bags are sold abroad, she is pinning her hopes on creating a niche local market with the growing middle class. Take a look.
Abai Schultz grew up in an orphanage in northeast Ethiopia. At the age of 11, she was adopted by an American family and brought up in the States. Now, 15 years later, she's returned to Ethiopia to start her own business, producing luxury leather bags.
Ethiopia happened to be the largest livestock population in Africa and ranking number 10 in the world. So I want to focus on leather goods, and so I did my research in terms of tanneries and people that can produce. Basically that's how I ended up working in the leather handbag business.
Abai's aim isn't just to produce handbags, but to generate jobs in her country of birth. And it's working. Her company employs 17 people, 10 of whom are designers. But running a business in Ethiopia isn't easy, with frequent power cuts and trouble finding qualified staff. For those employed here, though, this 26-year-old is a model boss.
She's very creative, and at the same time, she manages to sort out problems very quickly. She's taught me to think differently, and thanks to her, I've learned a lot.
The bags sell for between $70 and $700 a piece. The company now produces more than 400 bags a month, the majority for exports. Abai opened a store in Addis Ababa last March, and now Ethiopians are also part of her clientele.
I'm very happy with these products, which are made here in our country and are sold in Western countries, in Europe and America. It generates foreign currency for our country and also encourages local entrepreneurs.
In a country where salaries are as low as $40, these bags are out of reach for most Ethiopians. But the IMF now classifies Ethiopia as one of the 5 most dynamic economies in the world, giving hope to entrepreneurs like Abai that the luxury sector will soon be in the bag.
With that, it's a wrap on this show, and it is time to unplug ourselves from the breakfast show and plug into the real world. Connect us with on Twitter at WION Breakfast. I'm Satya.
And I'm Charu Shankar, and we leave you with the weather updates from around the world.